Hello and welcome to another WeAreDevelopers Live. We're here, live on a Wednesday, and Dan's with me, and we got another guest coming later on as well. Well, first of all, Dan, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Yeah, I've just realised, at this point, kind of quite how close we are to the World Congress Europe. We just had the all hands, and talking about it, you think, wow, it's amazing how kind of fast the last year has gone. I know we've still got 4 months, but still, it's a lot to do.
Well, we got two more coming this year as well. We got the North America one and the India one as well, and it's seeing interesting. And yeah, I mean, the number that shocked me in our all hands was 3,000 submissions. So that means I will have to go through 3,000 descriptions of talks, and I'm just telling you, AIDR. If it actually sounds like ChatGPT wrote your thing, I'm not gonna read it. But yeah, it's an interesting bit that we had got that much feedback, and I'm looking forward to more people coming for the US event as well, because that coffee with developers, that CFP is still open, and the India one is going to come soon as well. So it's going to be an interesting year for sure. And the Berlin one is going to be easy again because it's just my neighborhood. But we'll see what we do about the American ones, if we want to be on site, or with the India one. Not sure yet. I have to argue that with my partner, because she's like the one, no, you're not going to be in America for 2 weeks. No, I'm not going to come along. And she doesn't want to fly, so problematic.
Yeah. Tough one.
Cool.
You said lots more.
So I looked at people that we wanted to have on the show, and I came across an ex-colleague of mine from Mozilla, who now is a staff engineer at a company that I don't think has enough coverage in terms of the technical bits that they do. So without further ado, here's Kumar McMillan. And he's a staff engineer at Shopify. What's Shopify?
Hello. Yes. So if you are a merchant who has a shop, a lot of merchants have real brick and mortar shops, like a clothing store or something. You can get onto Shopify and create an online shop. So that's pretty much what it is. It's the tools to set up all your products on the page, and then there's the standard shopping cart, and then you go to the checkout, and I mostly work on the checkout part.
And it is one of the biggest out there, isn't it? It's kind of like when you look at a shop that's like a brick and mortar little thing, people use that one.
It's because it's not branded. It's a little bit hard to spot in the wild. But if you ever see like a purple Shop Pay button, then you're on a Shopify shop. And just when I try to go direct to brands to buy stuff, and I honestly am it's very rare that I'm not on a Shopify shop. So that's my personal experience. And when I lived in North America, that was the norm, and I thought it would change. I'm in the UK now, and I thought it would change, but it's actually the same here. Everywhere I seem to go, I'm that's my experience. I'm just stumbling upon them all the time.
One thing I'm confused about is on Instagram and stuff, when you get all these cool gadgets, here's a flashlight that also is a satellite receiver or whatever, and there's a Shopify shop to buy it, and it's always this in the next 30 minutes it's this price, and it, all the upsell things. And then over the days when you don't buy them, you get the same product from 8 different brands. Is there a lot of companies that have 15 different brand names but one product? Is there an issue like that, or don't you have any insight into that one?
Yeah, I don't have much insight into it, but I mean, Shopify is really just a platform, and it gives merchants a lot of control. So they can kind of, just come up with any kind of crazy marketing schemes that they want to. There's definitely, I mean, like anything, I've seen plenty of shady marketing kind of tactics on all these shops. That's just how they operate, I guess. I don't know, maybe it works for them. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I mean, when you see the amount of fraud that's actually done with Amazon gift vouchers as well, it's seen as a non-traceable currency at times. So it seems like the whole market is probably a race to keep the thing secure, and also the traffic that comes into it. And I guess that's where you come in with the checkout experience and having recoded that into another environment. Because what got me into Shopify is that Markdown is in everybody's mouth right now because of the agentic experience of the web, and it's actually a lot less tokens than HTML, which you could argue if you had written proper HTML, it would be a lot less tokens as well, rather than 6,000 nested divs. But the idea of turning Markdown into HTML using Jekyll and these kind of things came from the Shopify environment. Like the GitHub Pages is one of them. But whenever I looked things up, when I wanted to do things with GitHub Pages, I found the docs of Shopify, and this is explained to me what Liquid is about, what like what 11T is about, how I can host that stuff myself as well. And that's why I thought it would be interesting to just talk about somebody who basically lives in that Markdown environment and where you're moving next. But before we go to your topic, let's take a look at the news and stuff that we collected. So the first thing is the most embarrassing thing that happened to me in a long time, which I fell for a phishing attack and lost my access to my X account. And to make sure that it doesn't happen with you and to be fully self-flagellation kind of thing, I wrote down what happened. I basically said, like, I did things in a rush. I was doing 3 things at the same time. This email came in that said, like, oh, we can't put your post out because it's a copyright infringement. And I wanted to submit an appeal and click the button. And basically, yeah, that appeal was basically looked like this. So it like, yeah, that makes sense. There's a copyright violation notice, and it had my all my Twitter things in there, and it looked like it was my X account and stuff. But the URLs were all over the place, so it was actually obviously a phishing mail if I had looked at the URL. But as I was in a rush, and as I felt like I want to get rid of that because I gotta go out and do something, I just completely fell for it. I logged in, and then I got a verification pop-up that asked me to put in the password. And that's when the alarm bell should have really gone off, because it didn't have any pre-filled content for that field. I store my passwords in my browser, and it should have a pre-filled thing. But that actually tells you, if that happens to you, you see a PayPal.com or eBay or Shopify or whatever form, and you have your stuff stored in the browser, and it doesn't offer you to fill it in, it means it's not that form on that domain. So that's something that should have set the alarm bells off. But my telephone rang, so I was confused about that as well. And then I basically, I was in the phishing attack, and then I realized there was a login coming in from a Windows machine in Turkey that logged in with my credentials, and I'm like, oh, that's obviously not me. And while I was trying to reset my password, it also asked me for 2-factor authentication with an app that I didn't have. So I knew that person was logged in and had changed their email, the email to my email to their email. So now I'm completely locked out. Every time I tried to reset everything, and it told me like, come back in 7 days because your email has been changed, and I'm completely locked out. I have no way of accessing it. So I don't know what's going to happen next, but I think the write-up is important for you to understand that this can happen to anyone, and it's good to keep reminding ourselves about these issues. What I found most insidious about it is that in that verification thing, where it asked me to log in and to actually verify that it's really me, it also had an extra button in there that asked me to upload my credit card details and my passport to verify my identity. So if I had not been already set up and like, okay, this is actually wrong, it would have stolen my whole identity. So that's something to also be aware of, that like, yeah, you should not have to upload your passport just to get a thing unlisted on X. I'm now kind of annoyed that there's no answer from them. I don't know what's going on next. But I mean, the other mistake I made, which I think probably it would be interesting to hear your ideas there as well, is that I treated X like a channel out, and I didn't care for it anymore at all. I basically think it's a horrible platform, and it's horrible people at the moment. It's very very automated, very much terrible, like engagement baiting, and rather than just like publishing things. And so I've just used it as like, yeah, I've got this thing and I post things to it, but I don't think about my password. I don't think about my 2-factor authentication. I don't think about it too much. And that made it vulnerable. That made it attackable. So I think the idea is like, if you don't love something anymore, like if it's basically Marie Kondo, that thing, like basically shut it down or delete it or archive it, because it's just basically something that gets outdated will get attacked. And if you don't care for it not enough to actually concentrate on making it sure it's safe, things like that will happen. So I'm not sure. I think it's a good thing to remember that even me as a security person can fall for these things. It's not shameful that it will happen to you as well.
The screens are like insanely detailed.
Yeah.
That they used here.
And also the fake domains, they end in -x.com. And that's something that I think would be interesting to that domain suppliers should be like, that's obviously a thing. Why would we do that? Like, And yeah, I mean, I found out the person is in Turkey. I tried to trace the email and see where that's from, but yeah, it's probably a bot that moves around a lot. But yeah, it was embarrassing, but bad.
I think
at the same time,
you just got me thinking there, though. I mean, is that the first time that's happened to you, Chris? And for you, Kumar, have you ever sort of come close to it? Because I have. I mean, my story is kind of largely similar to Chris's, but yeah, it's just surprising to kind of hear how often it actually does happen to technical people. Has it ever happened to you, Kumar?
Yeah, I've fallen for sure. Like I was in a rush to do something, and I think that's sort of what you called out, Chris, as well. I was like under a lot of pressure to fill something out. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, I mean, I had my WordPress had been hacked because of a plugin at one time, and basically in a subfolder on my machine, I had a whole other WordPress instance running that does shoe price comparison and like one of those long tail link farming thing using my domain. And yeah, I only realized it because of the log files actually exploding and out of a sudden being 6 times as big as they normally were. And then I found out it was that plugin that actually made it happen. But yeah, other than that, like losing my access to something hadn't happened to me before yet. And I mean, I was always when I was at Microsoft, it was very good that we had these like red team, blue team things where people would send out phishing mails in the company, and when you fell for it, you had to pay like pizza for stuff and people. And but yeah, I never fell for that one. I was actually part of the team that was baiting people into clicking on things that weren't to do. That's why I felt like a complete tool when that happened. But yeah. An interesting thing as well was like this analysis of the agent market. That like when the agent market is basically 90%, or is it 49% is actually software engineering in agents. And then it's like back office automation, other marketing, copywriting, and so on and so forth, and cybersecurity. And e-commerce is just 1.3%. And I found that very interesting. It's interesting that like everybody advertises AI as the thing to automate the life of people and of normal consumers and making their life better. But it seems like right now, it's just basically software companies that use agents for agentic coding. From the looks of it,
that might be a kind of like skewed towards Anthropic's kind of user base, though, just because everyone knows that like Anthropic kind of has the better models for coding. Like I don't know, I haven't kept up with the others, but they're just like they sort of the early models were the best. So it's that could have something to do with it. I don't know, but I don't know much about agent usage in the wild. So,
but it's an interesting one that like we said we automate everything for everyone, and now we automate coding, which was never the goal. Like, I mean, I talk to people about this where they're like, oh yeah, my agent built like 600,000 lines of code over the weekend. And I'm like, yeah, if an engineer did that, I would fire him. That's a really bad amount of code for one weekend. Like, you should not write that much code. Then if you're done, you probably didn't think of your architecture.
Well, if it took you 6 months to write all that code, you might not question it, right?
Yeah, but even then I would be worried about 600,000 lines of code, right? In one code base.
I mean, I was just thinking then, Chris, about, looking at it, the fact that where it's saying software engineering owns half of all AI agent activity. I mean, partly, like you said, Kumar, it's going to be skewed towards their base, but it's also something that by the nature of how you use it, you're using it for like hours and hours. And then it kind of, you're accruing a lot of time using it, a lot of tokens, etc. But I do also wonder, right, that we are in this bubble of AI, and I say we're in this bubble, I don't mean in the kind of market sense. I mean, we sort of immerse ourselves in it all week, every week, talking to people about it, using it in different ways. And this kind of shows the average person just doesn't really use it in any meaningful way. They're not looking to do agentic things. I think for most people, that's scary. You know, installing an app they're not familiar with, if you're not very technical, is kind of for some people quite like, oh no, I'd never do that. So the idea of sort of giving permissions to something that you can't, you know, really understand what it's doing, I don't really ever see, or at least not in the near future, being something that breaks out of this little technical bubble where it's kind of things we do for fun, right? We spend our weekends saying, oh, what can I do with an agent? I don't think a non-technical person is looking to do that with their weekend.
So even for coding, like I just in my personal experience, I haven't seen autonomous agent driven coding like work super well. Like I've seen it applied to some like niche problems and be really successful, but generally it's sort of it feels to me like it's not quite ready yet. Like it might be soon, but just like on the average, like autonomous coding, like, you know, agents go do a bunch of stuff and then I'm going to come back when it's done. Like that usually doesn't really work out too well.
Well, I mean, also the interfaces are interesting. I mean, when I see people complaining about like their agent running in their terminal and the thing scrolling all the time and slowing down their machine because there's so much activity in the terminal, it's interesting because you want to have the insight at the same time. You don't want to use resources that you don't need to have used. It's an interesting thing, and I think, of course, the rollout in the software space is, yeah, you're right, it's skewed to Anthropic, and it's also skewed to like people want to replace expensive developers with like AI, and when they spend a lot of money on AI models and AI access, then they also need to prove immediately that they really saved a lot of money by getting rid of those engineers, or not running into the problem that they're actually now spending the salary of those engineers on tokens.
I actually think that the motivation is a little bit more driven by, we have a big roadmap and we can't do it all. Like I think and I don't, I mean, certainly that's sort of what I'm seeing at Shopify is like they're not like wanting to replace engineers, but like they're just like, we've always, and every company I've ever worked at, we've had this roadmap that's been like just insane. Like there's like, you know, you have like a P0, P1, P2, P3, or however your system is, and you know that like the P3s and the P4s just never get done, because there's like, no matter how big your teams are, no matter how many like different teams are siloed and working on the problem, like there's still this like crazy roadmap. So I think like it's more like the motivation is like, well, hey, actually, maybe for the first time we could just like get the roadmap done. Like we don't want to like replace engineers. We want to like keep them all and just do more stuff.
Also the bug queue, I think that's another thing where people go through like all the legacy stuff that nobody ever got the chance to fix. I mean, the biggest lie I ever had told to me as a developer was basically like, oh, can you ship it today? And then we give you time to fix it properly. And you never get that time. So I think there's a lot of backlogs out there that are very simple fixes, but the engineers never get time to do them because they have to think about the roadmap. So that's another thing where you can let an agent with the right security settings to allow you to actually fix things that nobody had a chance to fix, but make an impact. Which
that's I'm most excited actually about that part of AI assisted coding, because I do feel like for the first time there's like an opportunity to really polish products and still meet like the kind of crazy demands of like the typical like product management sort of pipeline. And like that is like a real opportunity that I think like developers can seize on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of like also a lot of like legacy systems being updated. That's something that would be a lot of research for a person to do, but you can have an agent try it out and keep trying until it works. So that's the other option that I've seen. IBM are doing a lot of stuff with COBOL at the moment to get rid of COBOL dependencies. So it will be interesting to see that. Now, on the other side, I love this one as well, where somebody just said like, okay, AI makes you boring. It basically is that people using generative AI to do writing and images and designs and videos, it seems like they're talked about the show HN submissions in Hacker News. It seems like we're getting in the samey world because people just let things being generated. And yeah, I mean, we always had that. I mean, when Bootstrap came out, every website was a big header, three columns, and a big button, click here. But it seems like the danger of really killing creativity by just getting the first option. I feel that now when I write things in Visual Studio Code because I'm weird. And I use Copilot, and it then starts offering me paragraphs while I'm typing, and they always sound the bloody same. And it feels like it would be less effort for me to just submit that and say like, okay, fine, then I'm doing this. But yeah, it's that trap, isn't it? It makes you boring. And how do you feel about it? Like, is that something that you do? Do you use generative AI, or
I
is it just
was
like?
surprised by this article actually, because I mean, I don't read Hacker News, but I was just surprised that so many people are posting so many boring things, because my experience with AI for coding is it lets me kind of explore new things faster. Like, it gives me like a faster feedback loop, and that sort of allowed me actually to go deeper than I have before, and to do that faster, like with, you know, just literally less time. And they're sort of saying that what they're seeing on all these like show HN is the opposite, that people were kind of doing shallow exploration. So I was just surprised. That was like an insight to me that I wasn't expecting.
That's interesting. I mean, I think one thing I took from it was that I don't know, I think that maybe hits on the point actually that you're making there, Kumar, that I think the speed of things has definitely, we know that's massively increased. And it feels a little bit like a sort of very disposable thing now, software, that there's this idea you can just pop something up, throw it on Hacker News, see if it takes off, see if it goes viral is the kind of goal. And if it doesn't, just move on to the next thing. But I do think, and I'm at risk of sounding like really snobby here and kind of elitist, but I feel that you can kind of map this onto anything, whether it's like we're saying, about enjoying a good UI, and that I almost feel that the really well-engineered UIs are the ones that you don't really notice all of the amazing engineering that's gone on. It just works really well. And in the same way as a song, you go, I don't know why this really resonates with me. It just does. And there's some human element in there that you can't really put your finger on that's kind of resonated with you. And I feel like in every area, music, coding, whatever it is, the AI stuff is just so underwhelming. And it's like the idea that everyone dresses the same. It's kind of all really websites, because I think a lot of the things that are being built are not really software even. They're just sort of like a very simple kind of tool that someone's popped up. Even the copy, I did one recently. I think I asked for like give me a pricing table. And then I noticed the wording that it gave me. And I thought, I've seen that somewhere before. And so I went to one of those landing page showcases. And I think I found about 3 on the homepage that had pricing tables with exactly the same copy as what the AI had given me. And I thought, there's no human element being put in there. That's just straight off the shelf does it have the right colors that I need? Deploy, and so I think that's kind of what I took from it. Definitely. Everything's becoming the same.
Well, I guess it's like fast food, like you can go to McDonald's in any world, in any city in the world, you're not going to get sick from eating it. You're not going to be, a Happy Meal, it's neither of those two things. But it's just a brand that people know, and it's just a matter of like, and if it's good enough for you, it's like when you look at social media and people posting like memes that are basically so old and like very much, or like you have like a funny letter that you saw 1991 in an email, and now it's just next to a picture of a minion, and that out of a sudden makes it a cool new thing. A lot of people just want to take part and want to be part of something, so they use the generated things. But I think it's important to remember that, like, just by using the regurgitated stuff, you are boring and you're not standing out. But being under this deluge of content coming in, because it's so easy and simple to generate, it's really a lot of effort to stand out. And if you don't do, then people get frustrated fast, I guess. Which brings me to that comparison of attention media and social networks. And I found that interesting as well, because Yeah, social networks have become not social anymore. It's all about like the interaction, and it's about like just keeping people occupied. And I'm working on something right now, a plugin for the browser, an extension that on LinkedIn I would get the link of the article from the first comment in the post rather than in the first comment. I absolutely hate that when people talk about something on LinkedIn right now, and then like the link is in the first comment. So you actually expand the comment section, and the LinkedIn algorithm says like, oh, there was more interaction, and you get paid for interaction. You don't get paid for views any longer. But I find this so I'm getting pushed into a consumption machine rather than just reading what you are excited about. And it feels like the social networks are kind of gone.
I mean, I wonder what do you, Kumar, are you much of a sorry, just to jump on that really, are you much of a kind of do you use social media for like the professional side? Because I was just thinking there, Chris, about social media has become very professional, hasn't it? LinkedIn and the kind of idea that there's these big long posts that have, I think people call them effort posts, where you take a long time with the AI generated image of you with Studio Ghibli and then a long thing with things in different fonts and in bold, etc. But yeah, I do think that fun, free, kind of informal side of social media doesn't feel like it's there so much anymore. It's all quite professional. How about you, Kumar? How do you use it?
Yeah, I avoid LinkedIn as much as possible, and all the others that we were talking about earlier. I'm really liking the Fediverse a lot. Like I get that's sort of where I spend my time kind of scrolling. It's chronological, which has, I mean, definitely has some downsides. Like there's people in different time zones that it's sort of like a little hard for me to hear from. But I mean, it's just really raw, and there's a lot of like, I get like great pictures from people who live in Norway, or just like random like things like that, and it's I post pictures of Scotland. Like that's kind of like mostly what I do on there. So it just it feels a lot like the web to me. I know like there's some kind of people kind of criticize the Fediverse for some of its like negativity toward, there's like lots of like anti-AI sentiments on there for some reason. I actually don't understand that phenomenon, but it's sort of really, really anti-AI. But it's a different I guess it's just a different network. It attracts a different type of person, and yeah, so that's what I mainly use.
Yeah, Mastodon is basically where I'm very happy as well, and I'm in more closed environments as well. Weirdly enough, Facebook groups that, I mean, my 8-bit groups. I mean, I'm part of a basic programming Facebook group, and they show the coolest algorithms that I can use for Code 100 and other competitions soon. Like that's going back to the really, really basics of coding, pun intended. It's quite fun that you find these rabbit holes there. Whereas like when I just looked at my X page, for example, because I don't have access to it, I was like, okay, is there going to be lots of spam coming in, or is it somebody's going to use it? And if you're not logged in to X, you basically just get your most successful tweets. So basically, my page is all tweets that were like 2 or 3 years old. So I was like, my effort of posting all the time on X is actually pretty pointless to people that actually don't follow me, because you're getting this attention thing. Like, here's the most successful stuff. Watch only that. Like, you don't even get the things. Whereas, like, if it's chronologically based, then at least you can see what people were looking for, and it's easier for you to find your own stuff as well. Whereas on things like Instagram, it's impossible sometimes to find my own posts again, because as soon as I randomly hit my mobile phone, it refreshed and nothing new came up.
Say Facebook groups are super interesting because they have moderators that are really like taking a lot of time to remove, like they'll do things like remove promotional links, and like they'll remove kind of like spammy sort of marketing speak sort of posts. Like those are usually like it depends on the group, but those are usually like in the guidelines. And they're like, I think that's a really interesting like underappreciated side of the Facebook. It sort of circumvents some of the algorithmic stuff that Facebook does in the main feed.
I'm the admin of the HTML5 group on Facebook, the main one, which we haven't done anything with for 4 years. I'm still wondering how to resurrect that and do something cool with it, because that's kind of a nice feature. Yeah, Gmail is killing POP. So, I mean, this was just like something I had forgotten. It actually did that, like that you could use any email client and actually use Gmail as your POP provider. I don't know what Gmailify is, but it was just interesting that this is still a thing that they kept up for that long, because I remember I used Thunderbird and for the first Gmail accounts that I had, and actually reached that and just used it more or less like a spam filter. Rather than the interface. But nowadays, like, everybody uses the platform. I mean, when I look at the newsletter that we have, and it's 150,000 subscribers, 180,000 subscribers now. Actually, it's like 97% Gmail. Like the rest is then Apple Mail, and because of the people that use it on their iPhone, and that's about it. But yeah, it's interesting that POP was still there, and not even SMTP, POP. Like.
I'm totally gonna date myself, but you just reminded me here that I got fired from a job once because it was like a college part-time job, late 90s, and I had like turned on POP, like I had figured out how to do it, and I was like so proud of myself. But then they thought this is on my work computer, and so it downloaded all my personal email, and so they thought like I was like reading my personal email at work or something. Which I totally wasn't, and I think I just turned it on and then forgot it was on. I just like was proud of myself for turning it on or something like that.
Just imagine. I mean, you cannot explain that to people nowadays. I mean, back in the days, I was like, one time a day, I would turn on my internet and turn on my Eudora Pro or my mail client, download all my emails, download all my news group items, and then go offline and then read that stuff and answer it. And now it's just all intermediate and immediate response and these kind of things. And yeah, it took like ages for emails to come in, like, And nowadays you just drag things in and you don't care. And I mean, I'm buying a house at the moment, and I'm in a court procedure because there's problems with it. And yesterday I sent things to my solicitor and just dragged all the PDFs and images and photos of the house in there. And Gmail, if it's over 23 meg or over 25 meg, it actually says it automatically turns it into Google Drive links rather than attaching the thing.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, I forgot about this, that this is basically a thing, because I hated people that sent me attachments over like 2 meg, because it took like 15 minutes to download those. One email, and then halfway through it would break, and then you had to resume it, and like it was just absolutely atrocious.
The good old days.
That one was interesting as well, like with the advertising industry, where you can basically say like, how much did they spend on you? So you say like, okay, let's do my age, and I'm aging myself here now.
I was $80,000, and I don't know if that's a lot. I was kind of underwhelmed because I thought, oh, they don't really want my business then. I think I'm not worth that much. I don't know.
I felt like that too. Mine was like 75,000, and I was like, really?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah. It's like, come on, make me feel good at least, put a 1 at the front. Oh, Chris, I saw a 1 there. Oh,
71,000.
Okay.
Sure. But yeah, it's pretty pointless, but I think it's fun to see those things, to just analyze yourself, your life in ads. Age 19, you first went online. That's not true. Well, I mean, it's not BBSs, it's the internet, yeah. So, yeah. That was also fun. It's a follow-up from a thing that I did a few weeks ago, where I built this Cistercian monk clock and font, and he made a font out of it. So I found that very interesting, that basically another person was as mental as me of taking a 13th century thing that I just did a generator for. So basically you can have an API to get those glyphs, and now he made a font out of it with that many ligatures, and that's just nuts. I just love that it's useless and very, very a lot of effort, but it's great that people do these kind of things.
And you could find
now,
it. Like it's just what Kumar was saying about, the sharing pictures of Scotland, and other people are going to follow you because they really like that content. And the fact that you found very, very niche person who, interest that's shared with you, and that's what the web's about, right? There's connections with people that have got interests, and you've got to be able to find those human beings amongst all of the slop.
So last week we had a colleague of mine, ex-colleague of mine from Yahoo here, who's also a big metalhead, and we talked about grindcore and metal for some time, which we shouldn't have, but it was part of the show. And that cracked me up to no end. That like there is a guy in England, in Devon, that actually is a worker at Co-op, and that's who he is. And he actually designed tons of black metal and death metal logos. He's behind all of those logos that you probably cannot pronounce and cannot read on the covers of different things, and he does it by hand. And I absolutely love that this is the person that comes up with these things. This is just wonderful.
Sweet man.
And did he make a real logo for Rihanna? Like I was reading in there, was it like a joke logo, or is that the real logo that Rihanna uses?
Probably.
Yeah.
It's just
So
so
wow.
good.
It's amazing. And I mean, again, you know, the human element, right? That you can, I'm sure you can generate something like that with AI. But you know, I used to play in a metal band, and these logos, some of them are, yeah, as you said, Chris, unreadable. But I mean, completely unreadable. They're just like a shape at a certain point. But yeah, just love the fact that if that wasn't made by a human, it wouldn't be what those logos are supposed to be. You know, it's like they're meant to be a bit pencil drawn or pen drawn, aren't they? It's great.
Yeah, I was saying like you do snuff and then you sneeze and then you fold the thing 4 times and then you scan it. That basically is like the logo. But it's just that person's behind it. I just love that to bits.
Yeah.
So one thing I have next week where I'm talking to a person that actually is this one. Of course, OpenClaw is the thing that everybody talks about and gets excited about. But actually, this one here is he realized that you don't actually need to do anything extra or set up an environment because the browser already has an environment. Like the tab has a sandbox and the file system access is there already as well. So he's actually done an extension or a script that actually runs it inside the browser. So it's a browser native personal assistant, zero infrastructure. The browser is the server. It's a person at Microsoft, like high up in the AI world there. So I've talked to him, and I might get him on the show, or I might get him a coffee with developers because he's in America. But I love the idea of actually not having to put an environment up just to run OpenClaw, but just do it in the browser. What about you, Kumar? Have you worked with OpenClaw and played with that, or is it just like, oh my god, I'm too worried about that?
Yeah, I'm more OpenClaw. I don't want to give like chat clients access to my computer. Like I find it funny that they're like, you can use it with Telegram. Like, no, like I would never do that. But like it's definitely the idea of like, okay, I want to just talk to my prompts and do a bunch of stuff in the background and just have it have it like churn away on some stuff autonomously is certainly interesting. Like I was saying earlier, I haven't seen it like quite work yet, but I feel like any day now it's going to be like working really well. So I think that this area is like a pretty good one to focus on, and running it in the browser, you have like a Wasm sandbox. Like I get how that's like like that's probably like addresses I don't want to say addresses some of the security concerns, but certainly there's still, you're still going to allow Telegram to like execute something with your like API token. Like I don't know, I would hesitate a bit.
Yeah, something to bring up when I'm going to talk to him. It's an interesting one. I didn't realize that Telegram dependency.
So it's probably optional, I'm sure, but like I think that the idea is that you can chat with it, maybe like, you know, whatever, Slack or WhatsApp, or I don't know, like whatever, however you want to, right? Because like you need some sort of way to like, while you're on the go, I guess, while you're riding the bus, like to like tell that's kind of the OpenClaw dream, right? It's like you're not at your computer and you're wanting to still do some work, which I actually find kind of fascinating that people are trying to like optimize for this. It's like, do you really want to keep doing work when you're not at your computer? Like, excuse me, is that like really a good goal to have? And if you ask any CEO, right, they're like, yeah. But like if you ask any employee, like if you ask me, I'm kind of like, well, when I'm eating lunch, I want like a little bit of a break from my laptop.
Yeah, I remember when when ChatGPT started giving voice commands, and people are like, "Oh, now I can actually be in the gym on the treadmill and still code," and you're like, you're just mental, aren't you? Like, what's the point of that? That's like that continuous hustling all the time and just being switched on and doing things is just a surefire way to burnout. Like for nothing, like not even for monetary gain or like getting a promotion. It's just like, oh, you want to be seen to be busy, and it feels like very destructive to me as well. Like, yeah.
I was just gonna say on that point, like the agent sort of doing work in the background, like I definitely get how there's like some interesting things that could happen, like especially if you're like starting a job overnight or something like that, and like just gonna run for a couple hours or something. Like I get that part of it, but yeah, I agree with like when I'm on the treadmill at the gym, I want to like just focus on my workout.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
quick fire. Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, I was just going to say, I think that the devil's advocate to that, I suppose, is the, I find sometimes when I've got those little tasks that I don't really want to do, but I do sometimes want to get them out of my brain a little bit and almost like offload them to something. I find that I'll do like the notes app. I might go for a walk or something lunchtime, get away from the computer. And like for some of that, I think you're totally right. I wouldn't spend the whole time just like focusing on work. But sometimes I might start off by just opening my notes app and turning the voice, recording on so it will convert to text. And I almost like offload things that are like thinking things through, or just like, oh, here's a few bullet points for something. Then I can actually like focus on what I'm doing and shut work off a little bit. So I think there's some uses, but then, I'm doing a mixture of things that it's not always writing code. I wouldn't really want to just give it instructions to go and write code that I then can't even see until later on. But yeah, I think there's some use. It's a nice thought anyway.
I guess that is the big switch, isn't it? Like that people nowadays that get into this world is the first thing. They don't even care about looking at the code because it's a disposable thing. Like for us, code is writing it and then reading it and refining it. In other people's cases, it's like code is something that gets generated by AI to build the product that I want to build. And if I want to redo it, I just start it from scratch. It's like the whole of like the refining thing is maybe something, the chip on our shoulder that we have to get rid of. But at the same time, I don't see it happening. I mean, I hate it every time we had to do a reboot of a project and start from scratch because it was so completely bonkers that you couldn't maintain it anymore. And yeah, that's kind of what we do with like AI these days, instead of just like, okay, having ownership and having interest in the product. Cool. Other bits that quickly, Fetch Network Simulator. I really like that one because it's an NPM module that allows you to simulate a connection with like a latency, with packet loss, automatic retries, and so on and so bandwidth throttling. So instead of using the browser to test it and by hand, you can actually do it in a scripted environment. And I think that's a very, very cool way of just hardening your product and actually understanding that network is not something you can always rely on. How to make an HTTP request in Node.js is less easy than I thought. So there's a lot of information about like what to do and how to do it. That's why I normally go through curl rather than doing it from Node. But it's interesting that it's that deep and there's a whole design pattern about it. And I didn't know that Googlebot has a 2 megabyte crawl size limit, but it has. So still, it's like, so before you actually put the 6,000 JavaScript files in there, think about that might affect your SEO thing. But see, looking at the time, I think it's time to play fake or news. Kumar, you know about it, I guess. But what we have is like we bring up a list of headlines that might be fake or might be news. So they might be news items that I found, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. Or it might be news items that I came up with. So let's play fake or news. Meta secures patent to let deceased users' accounts remain active. Fake or news?
I'm going to say that's real. I think that's real. What do you think, Kumar? Oh, we've got a delay on Kumar. Oh, he might miss the...
It's news.
I'm
going to say real.
Reddit is testing a new AI search feature for shopping.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, no.
Okay.
Kumar might need to... Kumar, if you leave the call and come back in, we're going to bring you back up on stage and hopefully that's going to fix itself.
Okay.
Got a thumbs up.
Sounds real.
Oh, there he is.
Okay. I found that really weird. Like, where would I go? Oh, okay. AI researchers discover a method to slow down aging in human cells by 30%.
That would be fake.
Okay, it is fake. I came up with it. Meta director of AI safety allows AI agent to accidentally delete her inbox.
I'm going to say yeah, because it's so ridiculous. The irony of it is just amazing. Yes, it's got to be news.
It's
Oh,
news.
no. Wow, brilliant. You couldn't write it.
Breakthrough in battery technology promises 3 times longer life.
No, we would have heard about this. This would be everywhere, surely. 3 times. I would never be charging my phone. Well, no, that's got to be fake.
It is fake. It was. Quantum internet achieves first successful intercontinental connection.
Yeah, I mean, I know nothing about the world of quantum. It's very confusing. But yeah, that feels real. Surely it's done that. I don't know.
No, it hasn't. It's fake.
It's got to be fake, yeah.
Japanese toilet maker, the most undervalued and overlooked AI memory beneficiary, investors claim.
Wow, I don't even know what that means, that headline. Japanese toilet maker. I'll say fake.
It is actually news. It turns out that there's an a smart toilet maker in Japan that stockpiled a lot of chipsets, and it turned out that actually they have now lots of access to materials that other people are looking for. AI-powered app helps users identify edible plants in the wild.
Yeah, that feels real. I hope there's one out there.
No, it's actually fake. There's lots of apps that allow you to determine what plants are that you're looking at, but I think nobody wants to get themselves into the problem
I
of
don't know what it means
it was edible once. Everything is edible once, but
Makes sense.
Microsoft Glass chip holds terabytes of data for 10,000 years.
Yeah, I feel like that could be a cutting edge type thing that you don't really hear a lot about because it's hard to understand. 10,000 years, how would they know that? Oh, yeah, I'll say news. It's crazy enough to be real.
It is news. Their research has done something amazing there. Inside the gay tech mafia, gay men have long been rumored to run Silicon Valley. Wired investigates.
Wow, Wired has gone tabloid. I'll say true because it's a crazy headline. Yeah.
It is actually true. I just saw the headline. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But yeah, it seems like there's a threat going out there that we don't know about, and that was Faker News with lots of delays for today. But you can play that as well online if you want to, and we're going to take the video out. You can play it on YouTube as well if you wanted to. So let's go back to the scheduled program now. Markdown is seen as a big silver bullet for the delay and the problem of AI agents using up too many tokens. And Cloudflare even has a proxy now that actually turns HTML back into Markdown. But yeah, the whole idea of having Markdown as an alternative for HTML, because it's so much less code, it doesn't have the expressiveness of HTML. That's the thing that annoys me the most. It gives you headlines, it gives you lists, it gives you links, and that's of course great. That's what the web is. But then, for example, when you put an image in Markdown, you have no way of setting a width and height, which is something that's very important for rendering and for rendering speed as well. And that's where then you have things where you get a curly brace at the end where you can set width and height in some of them. I think that was for Wikipedia or something. But it feels like that's where it goes. It's a description of content, but not a Markdown language. That's the idea. That's called markup is HTML. That's what took me ages to realize, by the way. It's called Markdown because it's the opposite of markup HTML. But it feels nice and fast to type and write in it, but it doesn't have the expressiveness that HTML has. But I love that basically as a data format, instead of, because that's the thing, HTML as a data format, people don't write HTML clean enough to easily parse it. No. So if you use regular expressions, or if you actually want to parse HTML yourself, don't. Use a DOM parser. Every language has one for you to actually do that. With Markdown, we don't have that issue. But at the same time, I just feel like it's now Cloudflare is saying we turn your HTML into Markdown, which means they render the main content and then do some OCR analysis of it, I think. It feels such an endless loop, so such a pointless loop to go through, you know?
Yeah, no, completely. And I think I know we've got Kumar in the background, but just to finish up on that, really, that it does, and it feels a little bit like, are we walking into the territory of we code something with HTML and then we just assume and hope that the Cloudflare tool, for example, might convert it, and we hope it does a good job and doesn't kind of as you said, pass it with kind of issues along the way if our HTML is messy. But we're then in danger of it feeling like every site becomes, here's the human site, and at the bottom there's a link to a .md file where you can go and that's there for the crawlers, and for the bots and the AI tools. I don't know, I'm just sort of a little bit, I'm not 100% convinced that it's the way forward, or if it is how we're meant to do it as developers.
Okay.
Does it just cut out HTML?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
In Markdown.
So let's see, Kumar, you're on your mobile phone now, aren't you?
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can. I mean, I just said, I don't know if you recognized it while I was doing it, that we're almost at the end of the hour anyway. So I will contact you to make a coffee with developers, like a podcast recording on the things that you do. And but if you're up for it, we can talk more shop at Shopify soon. And
Sure.
That's going to be good. So yeah, we never had this. What is it like? What is your phone provider in England? Who can we complain to?
Scotland.
It was actually
Scotland.
Yeah, it was actually my laptop, because I had I had a broken monitor on the one I usually use, so like I had to switch to like an older laptop, and I don't know, for some reason it just couldn't handle the StreamYard, I guess, or something.
I had my Mac earlier have like a delay on the mouse, and that's like super frustrating because you just realize, and I don't know what it was. I cleaned everything, and then out of a sudden it was okay again. So it seems like the Bluetooth was busy with something else, or I don't know. Like but it's amazing how fast computers annoy us as when things are not 100% smooth, right? It's really bizarre.
Amazing the computers work at all when they work.
Well, I mean, any last message you have for the people out there? It was good to talk to you anyways. You had a lot of good insights into AI stuff at the moment. Any last message you have for our audience that you want people to play with, that you want people to try out?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, for anyone who never like invested in like prompt engineering and like all the things that you kind of used to have to do like a couple months ago for AI coding, just to try again, because like once Opus 4.6 came out, all of that basically went away. Like, you don't need to be a prompt engineer anymore. It can figure out things in way, like, I'm just blown away at how like well it can do coding and work with you as an AI assistant. And I think it's just an exciting time right now for AI assisted coding. It might change in the future. If it becomes more autonomous, it might not be as fun. I'm not sure, but right now it's like for interactive AI assisted coding, like I would suggest using the Pi tool, which is similar to Claude Code, but it's more hackable. It's open source and just like a little bit, I think it's a little faster than Claude Code, but it's just an easy way to get into AI assisted coding. That's the Pi, P-I.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting idea to get into, because it felt like a weird thing when people are like, oh, now you're all becoming prompt engineers, and you're like, this is a very weird product idea. Like, I mean, it's communicating with a computer. Like, like learning that felt actually weird, like rather than with humans. But then when you say that this is kind of over right now, the other idea that what we wanted to talk about originally before you actually got offline was the what you did to the checkout of Shopify to make it much more performant than it is right now. Like what your job was the last few months. We can do that in the Coffee with Developers then as well. So that's going to be okay. Well, thanks Kumar for being part of the show, and at least for a while. And hopefully you can make the laptop work again. Any last words from you, Danielle?
I would say I'm off to go and have a look at Jekyll. I've been promising that for a while, so yeah, I'll go and check it out. And looking forward to having you back on Coffee with Developers, Kumar. So thanks for joining us and fighting with the internet.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm going to be trying to get onto X again, and then if just to shut it down, I'm not sure yet. But if anybody of you listening to this works on X, please help me out. I would like to be accessing my content that I did for 20 years and used the same email for 20 years. So changing that email was not something that could have actually happened. But yeah, okay. And other than that, look forward to what's coming in the what was sent in at the Congress, what we're going to be talking about in the conference in Berlin in July. We still have an open CFP for America and for India, and we have a CFP as well for articles. So if you want to write something for the WeAreDevelopers magazine, Dan and me are the people that are actually creating that. So we're happy to have guest articles out there. So look at the website, and you can see the CFP there, and in the newsletter it's going to be there as well. This recording will be out soon. The Faker News you can play as well. And that's it from us for today. So thanks very much for listening.